Hi all. The day began with an inquiry from the representatives of Zambia. They asked Russia to explain how a citizen of their country, convicted for 9 years and serving his sentence in Moscow, ended up murdered in Ukraine. A giant flag of Ukraine flew over the liberated Kherson. By the way, it is visible even from the left bank. American volunteers of the 131st Separate Reconnaissance Battalion of the Armed Forces of Ukraine felt Ukrainian embrace from the liberated village in Kherson region. During the retreat from Kherson, the Russians released all prisoners from the prison. At this point, a third 166 people have already been returned. Some of them were sentenced to life imprisonment. Launch of missiles by strategic aviation from the Caspian Sea. Launch from strategic bombers 2-95 milliseconds, missiles X-101. Time of crossing the southeastern border of Ukraine at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A total of 90 missiles were fired, of which 73 were shot down. In Kiev, 2 residential buildings were hit. There are problems with electricity all over the country. Preliminary information on the consequences of massive rocket attacks on the territory of Ukraine. Volyn region. Confirmed hit in Kovalon, the object of energy infrastructure. Partially no electricity. Kyiv. Hit residential buildings. The city and the region are partially without power supply. Emergency blackouts have been introduced. Zhytomyr. 2 rockets hit a critical infrastructure facility. The city is de-energized. Lviv. There was an arrival. There is no electricity in part of the city. Mobile operators have limited the work of some services to save electricity. Rivne. Arrival at the infrastructure facility. Power outages. Vinnytsia region. Several arrivals on infrastructure. Cherkasy region. Air defense was working. Kryvyi Rih. Came under a missile attack. Odessa region. Partially without electricity. Khmelnytsky region. 2 arrivals. The region is partially de-energized. Ivano-Frankivsk region. There were sounds of explosions. There are reports of problems with electricity and water. Poltava region. There are hits in Kremenchuk. Kharkiv. Several arrivals. The city is without electricity. The subway is stopped. Sumy in the region. Due to arrivals, an emergency power outage was introduced. Ternopil region. Air defense was working. Karavorad region. 2 arrivals on the energy infrastructure. Chernihiv region. Air defense was operating. Massive power cuts in Moldova due to Russian missile attacks on Ukraine's critical infrastructure. Deputy Prime Minister of Moldova Andrei Spinu said. One of the power lines, which ensures the transmission of electricity for the country, was automatically disconnected. This led to massive blackouts across the country. Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki called an emergency meeting of the Council of Ministers Committee on National Security and Defense because 1 or 2 Russian missiles fell in Lublin Voivodeship on the border with Ukraine, killing 2 people. Polish OSINT analyst Jarosław Wolski writes that there may be 2 versions. The strike was caused by Russian missile B. The strike was caused by a Ukrainian air defense missile, in which the liquidator allegedly did not work. But the nature of the crater and the absence of fragments of the tractor and trailer in his opinion points to the first option, a Russian missile strike. A senior U.S. intelligence official confirmed to AP that Russian missiles crossed into Poland, killing 2 Poles. The criminal Russian regime fired missiles that hit not only civilian Ukrainians, but also landed on NATO territory in Poland. Latvia fully supports Polish friends and condemns this crime. Prime Minister of Latvia Artis Pabrikas. Russian Federation calls statements from Poland about downing of Russian missiles, provocation aimed at escalation. Polish army started to bring armored vehicles to Przewodów, media. The government has increased the combat readiness of some military units in Poland. G20 leaders adopted a declaration, strongly condemning Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It causes enormous human suffering and exacerbates existing instability in the global economy, the document says. They also demand complete and unconditional withdrawal of Russian troops from the territory of Ukraine. The Polish Prime Minister said that Article 4 would not be applied this time, but he noted that this tool is still in our hands. There is no evidence that Russia is preparing an attack on a NATO country, Alliance Secretary General Stoltenberg. NATO will not go to war with Russia. Forget Article 5. There will not even be Article 4. Poland has withdrawn its request. Air defense systems will be strengthened along EU borders, well, and they promise to work on providing Ukraine with more of these systems. A court in The Hague today ruled that the MH17 plane in the skies over Donbass in 2014 was shot down by a Buk missile launched from Fragments. Donald Trump's son. No comment. Subscribe to the channel. There will be a lot of news. See you soon.